When the body dies,
Mike.
when the body dies, the Jivatma, along with the sense organ and the mind, leaves the body and enters another body. Does it mean that the ego is so strong that it keeps the Atman or the Jivatma in its custody even at the time of death? One. Second, same continuing, correct? Then what happens to my vasanas? Only these two things, because somewhere I have also heard or learned or was told that vasanas also is getting carried forward and that dictates your future life. So this clarification I just wanted to stop.
Yes. Now, what is ego? Ego is nothing but a wrong notion that enters body. Right? So at the time of death, wrong notion continues the journey. It is not that you drop wrong notion along with the dead body and you travel. No. And the second question about vasanas. Remember, Karana Sharira and Sukshma Sharira they travel. It is only the Sthula Sharira which is dropped. So vasanas anyway they form under Karana Sharira. So everything else is taken. It is only the gross body which is left. So yes, ego travels, vasanas travel, Sukshma Sharira, everything travels.
You see, the ego superimposes upon the Atma.
Yes.
BMI superimposes.
Yes.
That means this superimposition is so strong that even on my death it gets carried forward. That means in my next life also I'll have the same sense organ, same heart, same.
No. See, what is ego? Identification is ego. Correct? Identification, becoming one, thinking that this is me. So now, when the death happens, it has disidentified from the Sthula Sharira, but not from Sukshma and Karana Sharira. Identification continues. Because identity is a wrong notion. So Sukshma Sharira is still there, it is not dead. So his identification with the Sukshma Sharira is there. When the new body is attained, now this identification continues with the new physical body. The moment a new body is received, identification. You take the example of dream. What happens in the dream? You disidentify from the waking body and you identify with the dream body. In the dream you have a body. So in the dream, when you are interacting with the dream world, you are not using the waking body. You are using the dream body in the dream world. So to enter into the dream world, what did you do? You disidentified from the waking body and then identified with the dream body. Then you handle the dream world. Then again when you wake up, what happens? Disidentify from the dream body, identify with the waking body. So in the same way, one physical body you disidentify, another physical body you identify. But as far as the identification with Sukshma Sharira is concerned, it is continuous. It doesn't stop.
The identification is continuous.
Yes, identification with Sukshma Karana Sharira, it is continuous. It doesn't stop. So Tena Vina Trinamapi Chalati, it is just an old saying, it has no source.
Hari Om. Just continuation with the Jivatma topic. So just I have one doubt. How can we convince the common people, or how can we make the common people to understand, and how can we justify that Jivatma is going from one body to another body? So that's what just I wanted to know, so I can enlighten or I can give some knowledge to the common man. How do you justify that?
Let us first drop this desire to enlighten others.
So I got a big word from it. So what I mean is that
you cannot, because in this world there are people, see physically we all look alike, but there are people who have just graduated from animal kingdom. In the last birth they were some animal, this is the first human birth. Such people are there. Means what? Intellect is very, very gross, underdeveloped. You will find when you interact with people itself, you will find. So in this world, all it's a huge university. This cosmos is a university. Means what? You will have LKG students, UKG students, first standard, second standard. Now what we are discussing is PhD level. Next is liberation. You have already reached that stage. Now you want that PhD, that LKG fellow to understand the PhD? So forget about enlightening others. Let us enlighten ourselves, and if God wishes, He will place you in the circumstances where people who are ready for enlightenment come in contact with you. You understand? This is the first thing. Let us be very clear. I am not here to improve others, enlighten others. Because I don't know what their journey is. I don't know where they are. You will be thoroughly disappointed if you try to make others understand all this.
But the youngsters keep on asking.
Who?
Youngsters.
Those who keep on asking, to the extent you are clear, you will be able to make them clear. So, whenever we ask doubt, first question to be asked is, am I clear? When they ask doubt, every time it should be taken as a challenge for yourself. How I can make it clear to him? What are the ways in which I can, This is fine. That line of thinking is. But remember, only those who ask you, only reply to them. You don't have to.
Hari Om.
Please.
In continuation with the previous question, I just wanted to know what is the criteria that the soul takes the rebirth. You said yesterday that the soul leaves the body after death and takes its birth in another body. What is the criteria that it has to go in the particular body? Because so many people are born as poor people, rich people, beautiful people like that. So what is the criteria?
Yes. What decides the next body, isn't it?
Yes.
The unfulfilled desires decide the next body. Number one. Unfulfilled. So at the time of death, this person has a desire. If only such a thing had happened, I would have been happy. If only this had happened, I would have been happy. Some unfulfilled desire is there, some wish is there, which he could not fulfill in the previous birth. So whatever desire, entertaining which a person desires, to fulfill that desire, he will take up the next birth. This is one reason. Second reason is to exhaust the prarabdha karmas. You have done some karma, you have not yet gone through the karma phala. The law of this universe is, if you have done a karma, you will have to go through the karma phala also. This is a law. As you sow, so shall you reap. So sowing is over, reaping is not yet over. So in order to reap, you take another birth. Right.
Sir, in this one, I want to quote DVG, who says, I think you have read about it. ಮರಣದಿಂ ಮುಂದೇನು ಭೂತವೋ ಪ್ರೇತವೋ ಪುನರ್ಜನ್ಮವೋ ಪರಲೋಕವೋ ಅದರಿಂದೇನು ದರೆಯ ಬಾಳ್ಗೆ ಅದರಿಂದೇನು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ. That means he himself is a good philosopher. He questions them. What is the use of thinking all these things?
What is the use?
Yes. ಮರಣದಿಂ ಮುಂದೇನು ಭೂತವೋ ಪ್ರೇತವೋ ಪುನರ್ಜನ್ಮವೋ ಪರಲೋಕವೋ ಅದರೇನು ದರೆಯ ಬಾಳ್ಗೆ ಅದರಿಂದೇನು ಅಂತ ಕೇಳ್ತಾರೆ. He poses a question. That what is the use of thinking all these things for a man who is living in this world?
Correct.
So just I wanted to bring to your notice this shloka.
No, see one thing. When the intellect asks a question, it becomes my responsibility to get a logical, convincing answer. Because if this question is troubling me, I cannot move forward. It's just like the water flowing. It is flowing and there is a big pit. So what will the water do? It will fill up the pit and then only it can proceed further. Isn't it? In the same way, when these questions are there, you will have to find a convincing answer. Otherwise, that will keep on troubling you. This is called as samshaya. And this happens during manana. So what is happening is manana. It is necessary. So then what happens when you get a convincing answer? The intellect is silent. So at the seat of meditation, this question will not crop up. So then your meditation becomes smooth. So it is a necessary stage to get a convincing, logical answer.
Hari Om Swamiji. This question pertains to the creation thing. Like, why did God create this world? We are all Brahman. We are deluded Brahman and we are in the process of sadhana, and that is perfectly understandable because we have studied Bhagavad Gita and all. We have to reach that Paramapadam. But what was the motive behind God creation? Because if there is any, I don't know, if there was any motive of creation, or if there are many other worlds like this world, because we are in this Bhuloka, there might be other worlds also. The Puranas also speak. Can you?
Why did God create the world? Is a question. Now again, answer can be from two different standpoints. From the standpoint of God, there is no creation. So this question is wrong. It is exactly like a dreamer asking, why did this dream world create? There is no, from the standpoint of waker, there is no world. Okay. Now from the standpoint of Jiva. So that answer in this chapter itself I have given, it is our own creation. It is not God who has created, we created. How did we create? By desiring sense objects. By desiring the happiness in the sense objects. So who created the world? Our own desires created the world. Let everyone get an answer, then we can have repetition. Everyone get an opportunity.
ಹರಿ ಓಂ. ಸ್ವಾಮೀಜಿ, ಪ್ರತಿಯೊಂದಕ್ಕೂ ನೀವು ಸಾಧನೆ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಅಂತೀರಾ. ಅಂದರೆ ನಾವು ಮುಂದೆ ಹೋಗಬೇಕು, ಮೇಲೆ ಹೋಗಬೇಕು ಅಂದರೆ ನಮಗೆ ಸಂಸಾರ ಇದೆ, ಆಫೀಸ್ ಕೆಲಸ ಇದೆ, ಏನೋ ಒಂದು 10 ನಿಮಿಷ ಧ್ಯಾನ ಅಂತೆಲ್ಲ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು. ಅದರಲ್ಲೂ ತುಂಬ ಕಷ್ಟ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಈಗ ನಮಗೆ ತುಂಬ ಡಿಸ್ಟ್ರಾಕ್ಷನು. ಸಾಯಂಕಾಲ ಹೋಗ್ತಿದ್ದಂಗೆ ನಮ್ದೇನೋ ಟಿ ವಿ ನೋಡಬೇಕು, ಆ ಟಿ ವಿ ನೋಡ್ದಂಗೆ ರಿಲ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವೋ ಏನೋ, ನಮ್ಮ ಫಿಸಿಕಲಿ ವಿ ಆರ್ ರಿಲ್ಯಾಕ್ಸಿಂಗ್ ಲೈಕ್ ದ್ಯಾಟ್. ಸಾಧನೆ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು, ಬಟ್ ನಾವು ಸಂಸಾರಿಗಳು ಏನು ಸಾಧನೆ, ಹೇಗೆ ಧ್ಯಾನ ಅಂದರೆ ಅರ್ಧ ಗಂಟೆನೂ ತುಂಬ ಕಷ್ಟ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಯಾಕಂದರೆ ಅಡುಗೆ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು, ಮನೆ ಕೆಲಸ, ಆಫೀಸ್ ಕೆಲಸ, ಹೊರಗಡೆದು ಇವೆಲ್ಲ ಭಾಳ ಕಷ್ಟ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಸ್ವಾಮೀಜಿ, ನೀವುಗಳೆಲ್ಲ ಎಷ್ಟು ಹೊತ್ತು ಸಾಧನೆ ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಾ? ಸನ್ಯಾಸಿಗಳು ಎಷ್ಟು ಹೊತ್ತು ಸಾಧನೆ ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಾ? ಯಾಕಂದರೆ ನೀವು ನಿಮ್ಮಲ್ಲ ಇದು ದ್ವಂದ್ವ ಇಲ್ಲ, ನಮ್ಮಲ್ಲಿರೋ ಥರ ನಮ್ಮಲ್ಲಿರೋ ಕಷ್ಟಗಳು ನಿಮಗಿಲ್ಲ, ಒಂದೇ ಧ್ಯೇಯ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಸ್ವಾಮೀಜಿ, ಮಂಗಳೂರಿಗೆ ನಾನು ಬರಬೇಕು ಬರ್ತೀನಿ ಮೆಡಿಟೇಷನ್ಗೆ. 5 ದಿವಸ ನವೆಂಬರಲ್ಲಿ ಬರ್ತೀನಿ. ಬಟ್ ಎಲ್ಲ ನಗ್ತಾರೆ, ನಾವು ಈ ಥರ ಅಧ್ಯಾತ್ಮಕ್ಕೆಲ್ಲ ಬಂದರೆ ನಿಮಗೇನು, ನೀನೇನು ಸನ್ಯಾಸಿನ, ಯಾಕೆ ನನಗೆ ವೈರಾಗ್ಯ, ಎಂಜಾಯ್ ಮಾಡಲ್ವಲ್ಲ ಲೈಫ್ ಅಂತ. ಬಟ್ ಈಗ ಖುಷಿ, ಸಂತೋಷ ಹೊರಗಡೆ ಪ್ರಪಂಚದಲ್ಲಿ ಸಿಗೋದಿಲ್ಲ. ಸಾಧನೆ ನಾವೇನು ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು ಸ್ವಾಮೀಜಿ ಜನರಲಿ?
It's a very common question. See, very many times, English li helbodamma? English artha agutalla? See, what is the definition of a samsari? Definition of a samsari is not too many worldly responsibilities. Let us be very clear. Once ಯಾರೋ ಗುರುದೇವರ ಹತ್ರ ಇದೇ ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆ ಕೇಳುವಾಗ he said, if responsibility is what you think of samsara, then I must be the greatest samsari. Because ಒಂದು 100 ಸ್ಕೂಲ್ ಇದೆ ಚಿನ್ಮಯ ವಿದ್ಯಾಲಯ, ಒಂದು 300 ಆಶ್ರಮಗಳುಂಟು ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಎಲ್ಲ, ವೇದಾಂತ ಕೋರ್ಸ್ ನಡೀತಾ ಇದೆ. All over the world Chinmaya Mission has centers and all the problems come to Gurudev. So if, according to definition, responsibilities and possessions are the means to define samsara, then I must be the greatest samsari. See, let us understand one thing. The responsibility ಓಡಿ ಹೋಗೋದಲ್ಲ spirituality. So God, out of His infinite intelligence, has placed you in a particular environment. There's a husband, children, responsibilities, professional, family responsibilities. Why did God put you there? There is a purpose. What is that purpose? I don't know. But I know God in His infinite intelligence has put me there. So there must be some purpose. So the first thing is cheerfully accept wherever you have been placed. ಈ ಬೆಕ್ಕು ಮರಿ ನೋಡಿ, ಅದು ಏನು ಮಾಡಲ್ಲ, ಅದು ಯಾವ ಮಾತ್ರ ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ. ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಅ ಮದರ್ ಕ್ಯಾಟ್ ವಿಚ್ ಡಿಸೈಡ್ಸ್ ಈ ಮರಿಯನ್ನು ಎಲ್ಲಿ ಇಡಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಅಲ್ವಾ. ಇಟ್ ಮೇ ಬಿ ಸಮ್ ಟೆರೆಸ್, it may be some cardboard, it may be some hearth, in olden times near the kitchen, the corner and dark room used to be a warm place, it used to put there. It's very interesting, such like ಈಗೆಲ್ಲ ಫ್ಲ್ಯಾಟ್ ಸಿಸ್ಟಮ್ ಇದೆ, ಅದೆಲ್ಲ ನಮಗೆ ನೋಡಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಸಿಗುತ್ತೆ. ಹಳೆಯ ಕಾಲದಲ್ಲಿ ಹಳ್ಳಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಇರೋರೆಲ್ಲ ಇದೆಲ್ಲ ತುಂಬ ನೋಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ. How a mother cat takes care of the kitchen. In the same way, each and every one of us, we are taken care of. So if that Lord has placed us in a particular situation, understand that is the best place. Let me not escape from that place. ಅಲ್ಲಿಂದ ಸಾಧನೆ ಹೇಗೆ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು? ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ನಮಗೆ ಅವತಾರ ಪುರುಷರಲ್ಲ ನೋಡಿ, ಶಾರದಮ್ಮ ಸಾಧನೆ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ನೋಡಿದ್ರೆ ನೀವು ಕೂತ್ಕೊಂಡು ಧ್ಯಾನ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ನೋ, ಯಾವಾಗಲೂ ಅವರ ಜೀವನದಲ್ಲಿ ನೋಡಿದ್ರೆ ಇಟ್ಸ್ ಆಲ್ವೇಸ್ ಕುಕಿಂಗ್ ಫುಡ್, ಅಡಿಗೆ ಮನೆಯಿಂದ ಹೊರಗಡೆನೆ ಬರ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಶಿ ಹ್ಯಾಡ್ ಟು ಹ್ಯಾಂಡಲ್ ಸಚ್ ಹಾರಿಬಲ್ ಪೀಪಲ್. ಒಂದು ಮೆಂಟಲಿ ರಿಟಾರ್ಡೆಡ್, ಹೌದಲ್ವ? ಹಾರಿಬಲ್ ಪೀಪಲ್. ಬಟ್ ಒನ್ ಥಿಂಗ್ ಶಿ ಆಲ್ವೇಸ್ ಯೂಸ್ ಟು ಡೂ, ಏನದು? ಜಪ. ಅದು ಏನು ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡೋನು ಕಾನ್ಸ್ಟೆಂಟ್ಲಿ ನಾಮ ಜಪ ನಡೀತಾ ಇತ್ತು. ಅದು ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರು 50,000 1,00,000 ಪರ್ ಡೇ ಜಪ ಮಾಡಿ 1 ತಿಂಗಳಾದಮೇಲೆ ನೋಡಿ ಅಂತ. ಇದು ಮಾಡೋಕ್ಕಾಗಲ್ಲ ನಮಗೆ. ವಾಟ್ ಆರ್ ಯು ಆರ್ ಡೂಯಿಂಗ್? ಲೆಟ್ ದ ವರ್ಕ್ ಹ್ಯಾಪನ್, ಬಟ್ ಸೈಮಲ್ಟೇನಿಯಸ್ಲಿ ಲೆಟ್ ನಾಮ ಜಪ ಕಂಟಿನ್ಯೂ. ಸೊ ಈ ರೀತಿ ಇದು ಮಾಡೋಕ್ಕಾಗಲ್ಲ ನಮಗೆ. ಅಫ್ಕೋರ್ಸ್ ಯು ವಿ ನಾಟ್ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟೈಮ್ ಟು ಸಿಟ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಮೆಡಿಟೇಟ್ ಎಕ್ಸೆಟ್ರಾ, ಸರಿನೇ. ಸೊ ಟು ದಿ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಟೆಂಟ್ ಯು ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟ್ doing this kind of sadhana sincerely, to that extent you will start seeing the results. To the extent we become serious, to that extent you will start seeing the result, and this result will in turn inspire you to put forth more effort. Direct ದೊಡ್ಡ ಎಫರ್ಟ್ ಎಲ್ಲ ನಮಗೆ ಮಾಡೋಕ್ಕಾಗಲ್ಲ, ಬಟ್ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಮಾಡಿ. ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಮಕ್ಕಳಸ್ಯ ಧರ್ಮಸ್ಯ ತ್ರಾಯತೆ ಮಹದೋ ಭಯ. ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಮಾಡುವಾಗ ನಿಮಗೆ ಅಷ್ಟು ಅವನು ಕಾಯ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾನೆ ದೇವರು. He is waiting to enter into our life, but the problem is we are not giving an opportunity for him to enter into our life. ಅರ್ಥ ಆಯ್ತಾ? So don't say sadhana is impossible. It is possible. Where there is a will, there is a way. So ಮಾಡೋಕ್ಕಾಗಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ಬೇಡಿ. ನಾಮ ಜಪ ಯಾರಿಗಾಗಲ್ಲ ಹೇಳಿ? ಅಡಿಗೆ ಮಾಡುವಾಗ ನಾಮ ಜಪ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ಮಾಡೋಕ್ಕಾಗಲ್ವಾ? ಅದು ಯಾಕೆ ಮಾಡಬಾರ್ದು? I hope I have answered. I don't know. You still look very sad. You have to find out ways. ನೋಡಿ, ನಮ್ಮ ಶಾಸ್ತ್ರದಲ್ಲಿ ಎಷ್ಟು ಸಿಂಪಲ್ ಸಾಧನೆಗಳು ಹೇಳಿದ್ದಾರೆ ನೋಡಿ. ಯಜ್ಞಾನ ಜಪಯಜ್ಞೋಸ್ಮಿ ಅಂತ ಭಗವಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾನೆ. Among all these sadhanas I am japayajna. So the importance is given. All the saints are unanimous about japa. ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ನೀವು ದೇವರ ಕೈಯಲ್ಲಿ 4 ಕೈ ಇದ್ರೆ 1 ಕೈ ಜಪಮಾಲೆ ಇರುತ್ತೆ ನೋಡಿ. ಏನದು? That is to show the importance of this. It is something very simple, very powerful, and it is something which everyone can do. ಇಲ್ಲ ನನಗೆ ಜಪ ಮಾಡಲಿಕ್ಕೂ ಸಮಯ ಇಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಮತ್ತೆ ಯಾರಕ್ಕ ನೀವು? ಜಪ ಮಾಡಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಸಮಯ ಇಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಬೇಡಿ. ಅಡುಗೆ ಮಾಡುವಾಗ ಕೂಡ ಜಪ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು, ಸ್ನಾನ ಮಾಡುವಾಗ ಕೂಡ ಜಪ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು, ನೀವು ಏನೇನು ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು ಜಪ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು. ಹೌ ಮಚ್ ಆಫ್ ಟೈಮ್? ಯು ಜಸ್ಟ್ ಡೂ ದಿಸ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ದೆನ್ ಸೀ ದ ರಿಸಲ್ಟ್. ಕ್ಲಿಯರ್? ರೈಟ್. ಇನ್ಯಾರು? ಓಕೆ.
You said about devotion. What about telling ownership for an action? These are very close together. Without the ownership for action, where do you stand?
You mean to say what is the difference between ownership and doership? Both are same. Both are same. This action is done by me. That is called doership. That itself is ownership. I own this action. This is my action. That feeling is called doership. Ownership, doership, both are same.
Yeah, but the point is that there is an outcome. I cannot blame God. He is the doer. I can't say that way.
Correct. Don't say that. If you think that is too high for you, say that I did it. But then you have to say, I will do only good action. Ashtamani. At least that much you do. See, there are different levels, as I told you. If you are not able to appreciate or understand the highest truth that God is the doer and I am the instrument, if you are not able to appreciate it, at least start from where you are. If a UKG student, if he says, no, I am not able to understand 10th standard syllabus, he need not. He has to go to UKG class. Why should he break his head thinking about the 10th standard examination? A for apple, B for ball. Start from there. Slowly, Bhagavan himself will take you there. So in the beginning, it is far better to be active than inactive. At least get into rajas. Don't stay in thoughts. With sense of doership, no problem. Do something. Bhagavan says in Bhagavad Gita, inaction will not, allow you to even have a good health. So therefore, Natra Siddhira Karpana, something, what is that? Anyone remember? Third chapter. Anyway, the point is this. Action is always better than inaction. Then, good action is always better than any action. Then, selfless action is better than good action. So, these are all different levels. Then, action without doership is the best action. So, understand our level. Then, follow at that level. Then, slowly you will be taken to the higher level. If the higher philosophies are not understood, doesn't matter. For the time being, doesn't matter. This should be our approach. Right. Yes, ask.
Sir, yesterday you told us nature and culture, difference between nature and culture. Who is a cultured man? In the face of brutal attack on a cultured man, how he should react?
See, when I say nature and culture, nature means that which has become our habit, thoughtlessly. For example, somebody abuses me and the natural tendency is to abuse him, tit for tat. And there is a joy in revenge. There is a joy. He gave me one, I gave him two. There is a satisfaction. This is natural. Why natural? I did not seek the guidance from scriptures or the noble ones. I felt it, I did it. But what is cultural? A particular situation is there. I think, see, this is what I feel like doing, but is it right? Is it wrong? Will it help me spiritually, God? What are the scriptures saying in this particular situation? How I must respond? So all these thoughts, he thinks, weighs the pros and cons, refers to what Mahatmas have done in this particular instance, and then he chooses to respond. So this is called as responding, not reacting. So this intelligent response to a situation is called cultured behavior. I hope. Yes. You had asked something else also?
How we should react? How to identify a cultured man?
So this is the thing. So this has answered.
So this I asked in the context now. There is a lot of attack on Hinduism.
Yes. Yes.
The world says that we are not properly reacting.
Correct.
And so we are suffering.
Yes.
So in that context I asked this.
Yes, so the question is, so much of attack is happening on Hinduism, lot of problems are happening, is that first question to ask is, see, this particular situation can be handled in various ways depending upon your evolution. The first question is, where do you stand in the ladder of evolution? So, if your evolution is lower, then you will fight like animals. But as you evolve, your understanding, your handling of the situation also will be different. Let me talk of the highest. Who is handling this world? Lord. So it is His responsibility. Matter is over. Isn't it? It is the Lord who is seated in the hearts of all, whether Hindus or Muslims or whatever. Right? He is the one who is running the world. He is the one who is making the sun and the moon and the earth function. Why should I involve myself? Yes, suppose there is a particular post which I am holding where I have to take a decision, then take decision based on what is right. But if suppose I don't have any such role, so my only thing to be done is Tameva Sharanam Gaccha Sarva Bhavena Bharata. Let me surrender to Him, because Satyameva Jayate is the law of this world. I don't know the background of all these people who are doing all kinds of crimes in the society. I don't know their background, I don't know their past. So I am not at all a right person to take decision or to fancy a particular outcome. Isn't it? Now since you are all Hindus, I know it, let me tell one truth. Very many times we feel, that especially after seeing, I don't know how many of you have seen this movie, Kashmir Files. How many of you have seen? Yes. After seeing the movie, what was your effect on the mind? You were disturbed.
Feel like hitting back.
Yes. That feeling of revenge comes, isn't it? Now, as a spiritual man, is this feeling right or wrong?
I don't know.
See, now your answer will depend upon your evolution. Remember one thing, in this world the strict law is, as you sow, so shall you reap. Dharmo rakshati rakshitaha. Action and reaction are equal and opposite. This is the law of the universe. So now, in that movie only one side is shown. Hindus are getting beaten up. Remember, there must have been some other portion also where Hindus have given properly. Yes or no? Because it's a law. Very many times, let me tell you, we ignore this aspect. Now, let me ask you a question. Why is it that there are so many Muslims and Christians in this country? If you go back to the history, you will find there was a time when Brahmins had exploited their power. So many untouchables were created. Who created it? It is not Muslims or Christians, it is the Hindus who created this. Especially the Brahmanas. They did not allow these low caste people to enter into the temple. How much they have been, tortured. All the great saints, in fact, in all these stories you will find this. Udupi, Kanakadas, you know the story. He was not allowed into the temple. Then Bhagavan himself told, that is the story of Udupi. You see the story of Sant Jnaneshwar. How much these Brahmanas tortured them. Why are we not discussing all those things? When we started torturing the low caste people, out of helplessness, they got converted. Because they did not find solace, peace, strength, etc. in their own religion, so they had to shift to another religion. Yes or no? So who created Muslims? We created it. Today, the very same Muslims are beating back. Don't you see a perfect karma phala? So always see the bigger picture. If you see a small picture, you will be thoroughly disturbed. So whenever you have to analyze any situation, you have to see the bigger picture. And in the bigger picture, everything falls in its place, everything is perfect. Then you will find that your mind is at peace. So I will say, showing such movies, it will only disturb people. Because you are showing in a way, not the truth. You are showing falsehood. It will only create disharmony in the society. But suppose I talk like this, nobody will be there to listen to this talk. That also I will tell you. People want masalas. Isn't it? Truth, nobody is interested. Nobody is interested in truth. And therefore, you have to pay the price for ignoring the truth. What is the price? Disturbance, agitation, violence, crime. You will have to pay the price for ignoring the truth. And those who are always with the truth, they are always at peace. Because truth and peace, they always go together. Right? I hope I have answered.
Yes, sir.
Regarding the relationship of a baby and mother, is it not, will it not affect the spirituality? This attraction and will it not distract? It's when there is
Your question is, if mother gets attached to the child, won't it make the mother forget God? That's the question. Of course, yes. Any relationship which makes you forget God, it is a wrong relationship. It will tie you down to samsara. Yes, it's a fact. What is the mistake the mother is doing? Remember, when you are bound to the world, you are doing a mistake. Because bondage is going to create suffering. You will always find that all mothers, they cry maximum for their children. Ask the mothers and they will tell you. Maximum suffering, maximum pain comes from your own child. Why? Because there is maximum attachment. Wherever there is attachment, there is pain. And what is the mistake you do when you are attached? The mistake is you forget God who has given you this child. Who gave you this child? It is the Lord. Who took care of the child in the womb? Lord took care. This lady only knew how to eat. But who was taking care? The Lord was taking care. So every stage it is the Lord who is taking care of the child. Really speaking, this child belongs to God. What happens the moment this mother sees the child? She forgets the one who has given the child. Isn't it ingratitude? Are you able to see it? Ingratitude. Somebody gave you something and you forget that person who gave you. You see? For this ingratitude, you pay the price. And what is the price? Attachment. Attachment means pain, suffering. Yes, this attachment is necessary. Last day I was telling there is a difference between love and attachment. Love is necessary, attachment is not necessary. Please understand this, there is a difference. Love is absolutely necessary, attachment is not necessary. What is attachment? Attachment is that unhealthy love which makes your intelligence paralyzed, which makes you walk the path of unrighteousness, which makes you compromise the values of life. I had given the example of Rama. Rama had love for Sita, but that love he did not, allow it to become attachment. So his duty, his responsibility, he fulfilled it beautifully well. At the same time, he was having love also. So the point is this: when you are having this child, what should the mother do? Mother should have gratitude for the Lord. Mother should say, Bhagavan, this child belongs to you. I am only an instrument in bringing up this child. You are the real mother. I am only an instrument in bringing up this child. If this is the relationship, then you will find that that relationship will be the most beautiful relationship. But you pollute it with your selfishness.
it is not a material relationship. Attraction towards a baby, it is necessary.
Necessary, of course I say. Love is necessary. Attachment is not. What is attachment?
Just she will not leave the baby.
No.
When
You please understand the difference between love and attachment. What is the difference? What is the difference between love and attachment? You tell me, because 2 days back I had spoken about it. I think you did not pay attention. That's why you are confused. What is the difference between love and attachment? No. Let him answer because it is his question. What is the difference?
affection.
Then both are same, no? Both are not same. That's what I'm telling you. Both are not same. Let me give an example. You know, we have this Gita chanting competition. And after chanting, when the results are announced, you will always find one lady coming. My child chanted so well, you did not give first prize. It is all because, you know, all these judges, they are partial. My child chanted well, I did not get. No, this is called attachment. You understood? I am not able to see goodness in others, I am seeing only the goodness of my child. My child becomes so important for me that everything else I forget. This is called attachment. Notice, this is dangerous. This is poisonous. When children do this drama, parents come to see their child performing the drama. And all of them are with this camera. Who is the central figure in that camera?
The child.
My child is a gatekeeper there in the corner of the stage doing nothing. But in my camera, he'll be the central person. I don't care about what the king is doing, queen is doing, ministers are doing. I only care about my child who is doing nothing in the corner of the stage with one spear. He is standing there. What has happened? The bigger picture is forgotten. I am only focused about my child. My child becomes so important. This is called attachment. Just like the Dhritarashtra, the whole Mahabharata is what? Duryodhana is doing all kinds of atrocities, but Dhritarashtra doesn't feel like correcting his son. So who suffered? The entire nation suffered. Isn't it? This is not love, this is attachment.
We have to give time and opportunity to see such small things in the society, like observing the child, mother taking the video of a child. Where do you get time and opportunity?
We are invited in such functions, you know. So this is what I do. I hope I have cleared. Did I?
Yeah.
Yes. Please sit down, sit down, sit down. Sit and ask. Comfortable.
Talking about desires, I have a lot of desires, but after becoming a student of scriptures, I have now started not acting upon it using my discretion, saying that no, especially the example which you gave last time about the sweet. Okay? Undergo the pain, then next time when you are tempted, you will not fall prey. I am a diabetic patient, I love sweets. Okay? The day when I heard this lecture, on that day onwards, for the last 3 days, I am not that sweet. Okay? So when I control my action, when I begin some satsang, again I have said, the cause of my rebirth is again unfulfilled desires. And now say for example, if I have given up eating sweet, will I again be haunted in my next life with diabetic patient or a diabetic patient? So because I have not acted upon it, fulfilling it all.
Yes. Good question. In fact, this has been answered if you had paid attention. Asanga shastrena dridena chitva. You have done chitva. But what is the next line? Tadaf padam tat parimargitavyam. Do you remember? Verse number 3 and 4. Asanga shastrena dridena chitva. Next line is tadaf padam. So, when you are stopping these desires, there is suppression. Mind is craving for it. You are stopping the mind. What is the next step? Matter is not over. Turn the attention to the higher. Because now mind is craving for happiness. It is craving for all these pleasures. So what you have to do? Direct the mind to the higher. There what does it find? Ananda Swarupa Atma. There all the desires are fulfilled. Because the joy is so high. I told this is not a one-day job. It is a slow process. So, once the mind gets fulfillment there, it automatically drops the desire here. This is the sublimation technique which we have discussed. Yes, something else.
The sweet eating part I did not suppress. For last 3 days, I feel good. It's a kick for me. Hey, I can do it.
Yes.
It was a kick for me.
Yes.
I'm confident.
Yes.
Yeah, my cousin for me.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
I remember when
There is a joy of de-addiction also. This is what you have. Yes. There is a joy because it is freedom.
So that means the desire will go down or it will still continue along with me in my life?
die. As you are practicing spirituality, the mind start getting exposed to the higher joys, then automatically it drops the lower one. Right.
Is it possible to live with?
Mind.
Is it possible to live without attachment by discharging his duties?
Why not?
By living with family, friends, or
See, do you think scriptures are talking some, impractical tips? No. There are very many who are living it. Is it possible to live in this world without attachment? Of course, yes, it is possible. You can love everyone, still you can remain detached. Remember this. I have told you again and again. Detachment doesn't mean unhealthy detachment. What is unhealthy detachment? I don't care about my wife and child. Now from now onwards I am a vairagi. No. Love them. Serve them. Fulfill all your responsibilities. Sacrifice for them. This is the expression of love. But don't get attached to them. Exactly like, as Ramakrishna Paramsa used to say, the servant maid, she comes to this honor's house, takes care of this child. Ayo, Mai Rama, Mai Krishna. The servant maid does everything, but deep down she knows this is not my son. She does everything beautifully well. Master is very happy. Master may even think that, oh, my servant maid, how much love she has for my baby. Externally she does everything, but deep down she very clearly knows this is not my child. Yes or no? This is the way to live in the world. Externally express love, nothing wrong. Because those people crave for love. They are craving, therefore you are giving. They crave for appreciation, they crave for recognition, they crave for acceptance, they crave for all this respect, etc. Give them, because they crave, give them. But deep down, you are psychologically independent. What is psychological independence? I don't crave for their love. That is called an attachment. You see? I love them, I give love, but I don't crave for their love. I don't crave for their presence. There are people who are so attached, they can't even think of living without their wife or their children. So this is called as psychological dependence. That person has to be there always with me. And there are such people also, she has to serve food for me, only then I will eat. Such people are also there. Hello, food is ready there in the kitchen, why can't you serve? No. My wife has to be there, she has to sit next to me and she. This is called as psychological dependence. These are all various kinds of diseases of the mind. Whatever makes you a slave, it's a poison. You understand what I am saying? So please understand the difference between love and attachment. The two are two different things.
Hari Om. So a small town. Nowadays, of course, maybe in the older days also, good people, now they will be having shorter life compared to bad people. What's the reason behind this? And if this is the case, even the whole world people are observing, when good people are having shorter life, why should I be a good man, good lady? Let us highlight this.
You know how many years Buddha lived? How many years? I'm told he lived 120 years. Alva?
80 years.
80 years. 80 years. I can give you umpteen number of examples where good people have lived, they have crossed 100. I can give you umpteen number. So there is absolutely no connection between goodness and lifestyle. Now a question comes, if good people all die like this, you have maybe in your mind one Shankaracharya 32 years, one Swami Vivekananda 40 years, one Santa Jnaneshwar 22 years. Please understand there is no relationship between goodness and lifestyle. What will happen to the world if good people are dying? Somebody asked the same question to Swami Vivekananda. Swamiji, what will happen to the world if you are gone? You know what Swami Vivekananda did? He just took one handful of sand. He said, if that Lord decides, He can create as many Vivekanandas as there are the sand grains in my hand. Please understand, never forget this truth. This world is absolutely safe in the hands of an omniscient, omnipotent, omnipresent God. Don't think that these politicians are running this world. This is what happens when you are too much exposed to news channels and newspapers. You think that they are the ones who are deciding the world. What they doing? When the Lord decides that a person should disappear, it's over there. Who is that general who died recently? Helicopter crash? Rawat, isn't it? Finished! In your eyes, he may be a big man. But in the eyes of God, gone. He's a speck of dust. Over. Please understand. In this world, everything is beautifully happening. This world is meant for the imperfect to attain perfection. This world is not for the perfect. The perfected ones are perfected and gone. They are enlightened and gone. They need not come back. Then this world is for whom? See, your complaint is like you are coming to the hospital and say, what is this? Everybody is sick. Nobody is healthy. The hospital is meant for that. Hospital is meant for unhealthy people. Your question is wrong. This world is a hospital. It is meant for people who have ego. It is meant for people who have ignorance about the self. It is not for the perfected ones. That's why Avatar comes. Avatar, he does something and goes back. Because he knows this is not my place. This is a jail. In the jail, you come and say, what is this? Everybody is a criminal. Only criminals come there. You understand? That vision has to change. This is a jail. We are all jailed. This is a prison. We are jailed in this body. Our nature is infinity, not this finite BMI. Right. Understood? So now in this world, all the imperfect ones are there. So what kind of actions will the imperfect ones do? Imperfect action, selfish, criminal action. It's a wonder if somebody is doing some noble action. It's a wonder. Isn't it? So the world is perfectly fine. Don't worry about the world. Worry about yourself. So then Gurudeva, and somebody asked Gurudev, with one message, with one line, give the message of Vedanta. You know what he said? Shut up and get out. Shut up, everything is perfect. You don't have to speak, everything is perfect. Get out, that is your job. Get out of this miserable world. That is the message of Vedanta. We are not here to change others, reform this world. Nothing. World will be like a dog's tail, as Swami Vivekananda said. It will remain bent only. Why? Everyone who is coming here is imperfect ones. And it is meant for the imperfect ones. Right.
Somebody attributes this thing to Shankaracharya, saying that at the time of his departure, he regretted about these three qualities, that I worship in the form of a shape. ಆಕಾರದಲ್ಲಿದ್ದೆ, ನಾನು ನಿರಾಕಾರ ಮಾಡಿದೆ, ಎಲ್ಲ ಜಗತ್ತಲ್ಲೂ ಇದ್ದೆ ನೀನು, ಆದರೆ ನಾನು ಬದ್ರಿಗೆ ಹೋದೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ದೆ. Is it true?
No, it is true.
Is it true?
It is true in the sense, he is glorifying Nirguna. He is glorifying Nirguna by showing the limitations of Sadhana. That's all. But more important is the feelings inside. God, please forgive me. You are infinite, but I am worshipping a finite form. Please forgive me. So he is glorifying God and he is showing his helplessness. So it's a beautiful prayer of humility. Bhagavan, I am a nobody, I am nothing. I am not able to appreciate your infinity. Remember, not able to understand God is the right way of understanding God. Understood? As far as Saguna is concerned, this is the way to understand God. The inability to understand His greatness, His infinity, His perfection. That is the way to understand God. This is showing Saguna use. So that is what is said there. It's absolutely right.
Garuda Purana is teaching us.
Garuda Purana?
What it is teaching us.
Huh?
What it is teaching us.
I don't know. You read and tell me what it is. Any Purana, the essence is what you call Jiva Brahma. Any Purana. Lot of stories may be there, but come to the essence. Because it is written by Veda Vyasa. Veda Vyasa doesn't know anything other than Jiva Brahma. The essence is one. You don't have to read all the 18 Puranas, not necessary. It's like you don't have to see all the mirrors. See, this mirror, my face is seen. What about that mirror? Oh, here also I am seeing my face. What about that mirror? You only need to see one mirror. Scriptures are called Shastra Darpanam. It talks about you. So if you have understood your true nature, you have understood all scriptures. That's why Yastam Vedasa Vedavid Urdhumula Madashakam Ashwatham Prabhravyayam Chandam Syasya Padmani Yastam Veda is a Veda. He has known the whole Vedas. Means what? He need not study each and every Veda. Once you have known yourself, you have known everything.
When I became the student of scriptures, my first conclusion was vasanas are nothing else but my attitude towards life, which I keep on carrying forward. I do not know to what extent I'm right in my...
That is also vasanas, but that alone is not vasanas.
It's not only the attitude. It's not only the attitude you're saying.
It is everything. It is everything about you. Vasana means what? Impression. For example, you like ice cream. Okay. You ate ice cream, you liked ice cream. Then what happened? Okay, you ate ice cream. After a few years, somebody was eating ice cream, then suddenly the desire for ice cream came. From where it came? So that source, from where it came, is called vasana. It's an impression stored in the mind, in the form of likes and dislikes, preferences. So all those impressions that are formed in the mind, which is there in the latent state, is called vasana. It need not be a particular for life itself. Even an ice cream also is a vasana only. Drinking tea can be a vasana. Everything is a vasana, whatever impressions you have. So your life is guided by your vasanas. Whom you like, whom you don't like, which places you go, what do you do with your time, what do you do with your body, how do you spend time, which books you read. Everything is decided by vasanas. Why are you here now? There are so many things happening in Mysore city. Why are you here? It is because of your spiritual vasana. It's not an accident that you are here. Somebody with sports vasana, you will find him there in the sports ground. You will never find him here. So everything in your personality is nothing but vasanas.
If I define my intellect, my ego as an intellect, am I correct? I'm still holding on to that concept right from my beginning. Because I feel, unless this intellect which is influenced by my vasanas is always on autopilot. It does not do anything new for me unless I sit down. Now, after becoming a student of spirituality, I've started thinking, why should I do this? Is it right? So far in my life, I've always seen it is always on autopilot. ये करना है, करता है, रहेगा, and nothing new I found out. So, I attribute my intellect to this ego which dictates or tells me do this, don't do this.
See, what is ego? Ego is an understanding. Understanding about myself. This understanding is called as ego. It's called as ahamkara. How do I define myself? At the physical level, at the emotional level, at the intellectual level, at the spiritual level. What is my understanding about myself? So your response to the world will depend upon how you know yourself. For example, you came and sat there. In general, male section separate, female section separate. Automatically you go and sit in the male place. Why? Because it is based on your understanding. I am a male, so you go and sit. You see? So all your interactions in the world will depend upon first your understanding about yourself. This understanding about oneself is what is called as ego. And this understanding is knowledge. That knowledge is in intellect. Intellect's job is to gather knowledge. So ego is an understanding in the intellect about oneself. Clear? Intellect is not ego.
Hari Om. Yeah, we understand that we have to detach from the world and attach to the God. So we are trying to do that. So every morning I do japa, but it cannot be perfection. And evening also before going to bed we do that. However, during the day we have to work and we have a lot of desires. And also whatever we are going to desire, if we don't get that, we are going to suffer. That means we should not desire at all, so that we not to suffer. These kind of thinking we are hearing. But without having those kind of desires, it is very difficult to manage our responsibilities. For example, if you take, I need to run my family, I need money. What I am thinking that whatever the money I am earning, that is not sufficient for my future, my family's expenses. So for that, I have to have a desire to move up in my ladder. But I don't get that, I am going to suffer. So either I can suffer from the desire, or if I don't have that desire, my family is going to suffer. So how can I overcome these kind of desires and attach to the Lord more and more?
Yes, this is a very common doubt of a worldly person. What is the promise of the Lord in the 9th chapter? What is that promise? Huh? अनन्याश्चिन्तयन्तो मां ये जना पर्युपासते तेषां नित्याभियुक्तानां what? योगक्षेमं वहाम्यहम्. It's a promise of not some Tom, Dick and Harry. It's a promise of the Lord of the universe. Anyone who is fixing his mind upon me, it is my responsibility to see that his needs are fulfilled, that he is taken care well. Because I know he is spending more and more time in spirituality. He is not spending more and more time in material pursuits. So therefore it becomes my responsibility to see that his material needs are fulfilled. He is able to fulfill the responsibility. That is what is Yogakshema. So the more and more you start loving God, the more and more you understand the nature of God. The more and you start feeling His presence, the more and more you have faith in Him, trust in Him, you know that even the job I got, it is because of His grace. Whatever money I am getting, it is because of His grace. He knows my responsibilities. He knows how much money I need to run the family affairs. And therefore He has given me this job so that I will get that money, so that with this money I can run the household. Tomorrow if there is a need for more money, He will do something. Just like He is doing it now. Maybe I will be promoted, maybe something will happen, and He will create an occasion where I will earn more money so that with this money I can fulfill my greater responsibilities. Then what happens? Mind is at peace. You understand? This question itself doesn't come. As you grow in devotion, you know that you are in safe hands. The Lord is taking care of you. You don't have to worry at all. This is all, the byproducts of Kartrutva Bhava. What is Kartrutva? I am working hard, that's why I am running the family. Just by chanting the name of the Lord, what is the use? This is the way people will, very many times they criticize the spiritual people. Just by doing japa and no use. You have to go and work. Have you heard such arguments? A fool. Who gave you that profession, that job? If you are in a business, who is ensuring that you are getting, so many customers? Have you ever thought of it? There's a bigger Lord who is taking care of you. Don't forget this. It is not your hard work. Okay, you are working hard. Who has given that body to work hard? That intelligence to work hard? That inspiration, who gave you? So when you go to the source, then you come to know everything is beautiful. If you need more money, He will put you in a place where you can earn more money. He will create such situation. Suddenly someone will come, hey, you are earning only this much, come here. I will give you more. Somebody will come. Never, never, never ignore the hidden hands of the Lord taking care of you. Never ignore. What will happen if I ignore? This is the price you will pay. Tension, worry, anxiety about the future. Are you today everything is fine? Tomorrow I don't know. This is what samsara. This is a symptom of the disease of samsara. Today everything is fine. Tomorrow I don't know. That is the one who has taken care of you till now. He will take care of you in the future also. You understand? This is a true sign of devotion. Then what happens? You are relaxed. Relaxed doesn't mean that you are not doing anything. No. You are working hard. But even as you are working hard, you are recognizing how God is making you work hard. By giving inspiration, by giving good health, by giving support, by bringing in customers. Try to see the hidden hand of God in everything. Every little thing. See the hidden hand of God. Then you come to know He is truly taking care of all of us. Then what happens? Mind is free from worry and anxiety. Make it a habit. Clear? Something else?
Yeah, sometimes, for example, there are so many people who are dead. If God is taking care of what He take care of, then why those people are suffering?
Yes.
Then we say that just we have to return to our previous birth. We will definitely get it.
True. Why people are suffering if God is taking care of all of us? Correct? This is a question. Now see. Recently we saw this killing of Kanayala. That person's head was chopped. What do you think should happen to these criminals? Good things should happen because God is taking care of everyone, or bad things should happen? It is of course karma phala. He did this. Remember, one thing I tell you. Whenever you are going to do a crime, a voice comes from within. Don't do. This is not right. It comes when you are going to tell a lie, when you are going to harm someone, when you are going to walk the path of unrighteousness, when you are going to walk the path of immoral path, a voice comes and says, don't do it, it is not right. It is called the voice of God, voice of conscience. Listen to it. It's a very, very sacred voice. Whatever that voice says, listen to it, everything will be fine with you. But then what do? Out of greed, out of selfishness, we don't listen to this voice and we go against this voice. And this is how all the crimes happen, wrong things happen. Then what will happen? Since you have disobeyed God, you will have to suffer. This is about. So people are suffering not because they are listening to God. They are ignoring the voice of God, therefore they are suffering. They are not allowing God to enter into their life. This is a problem. It is exactly like the person who is saying, "Oh, this room is dark, this room is dark." Sun is there outside. He has closed his windows and doors. And now he is crying, the room is dark. Can you blame the sun for that? The fellow who is inside has to open all the doors and windows. Then the light will come. In the same way, the person who is living his life in tune with God, he will always find protection coming from him. Do you understand? But those who have ignored God, if they are suffering, you can't blame God for that. Even little bit you turn to Him and see the grace. He is waiting for the possibility.
I was holding back all this time, listening to more intelligent questions than the one I'm going to ask you now. I agree that life is full of checks and balances. The balance sheet has to tally at the end of the day. But my question is, why, forget about good people, bad people. Among countries, for example, some countries are so prosperous, I don't know what is it that they have done to God or God has done to them. We know what God has done to them. And why are people like us in India not so prosperous as them, in spite of all the religions, all the spiritual practices that we respect? And is it the God's will that we should suffer like this, or is there something more to it?
See, what you ask in life you get is a strict law, whether it is an individual, family or a nation. Remember, this karma theory works for nation also. Don't think it is only individual thing. For example, World War I and World War II. Where did this happen? In the European countries. What did they do? They looted the poor countries. I am told that ship after ship used to go, carrying the gems and jewels from India into these European countries, especially England, etc. So you have looted these countries. This is how you have become rich. What should happen to the money which you have earned through looting? It can never bless you. It can only destroy you. There is a spiritual explanation for World War I and World War II. You see, nation also suffers when the wealth earned is illegal and immoral. See what is happening in America now. They earned wealth by selling arms. Now their own citizens are shooting each other. You see, this law is amazing. The way you have earned wealth, if it is unclean, that wealth will only destroy you. It's a law. But if you worked hard, then definitely wealth will be generated. Now, as far as India is concerned, please understand, no doubt India is a spiritual country, but all spiritual organizations are doing well financially. Who are the ones who are suffering? Those people who have kept themselves away from spirituality, they are the ones who are suffering. Let me be very clear. In India, there are tamasic people and there are sattvic people. Who are the ones who are suffering? Tamasic ones, drunkards. All these, the so-called slum dwellers. If you live an ignoble life, you will suffer. What about the spiritual people? You go to any spiritual organization, they are all cultured, good mannered ones. You see any culture. In fact, even any religion also. If they are truly spiritual, you go to them, their life, their standards are very high. Right? So just you can't categorize India as spirituality is there, but they are suffering. Who are the ones who are suffering? Those who have ignored spirituality. Not those who are truly following spirituality. No, I have never found anyone like that.
No, because in the concept of spiritualism, those people accept whatever is not there and accept also what they have.
See,
They are contented.
no, I tell you one thing. A person who is contented, the riches of the whole world is at his feet. Because the moment you come across a person who is contented, you feel like giving him more and more. It's a true sign of contentment. Contentment means what? It's not a helpless situation, it's a joy. You don't have any desires. Any person who expresses desirelessness, you will find that people are ready to give him any amount of comforts, conveniences, wealth, treasure, everything. And that's how all these masters became rich. It's not that they asked for it, it came to them. Why? They never asked. You will always find this along the world. The person who never asks, he gets maximum. The one who asks, he gets minimum. You don't feel like giving a person who is asking. You feel like giving more and more to the person who is not asking. You just observe in your own life. You are not satisfied to giving. You feel like giving more. Why? Because you are so contented. And that person is contented, he distributes whatever is there. You will be amazed. All these spiritual organizations, they are doing selfless work and they are not asking money. Then how did they get so much of money? Big ashrams are built. You see all these ashrams, they are huge. And all their services are selfless. So if you say that selfless service means not getting anything, how are they able to build such huge ashrams everywhere? Have you seen Akshardham? So many places there in Swaminarayan temple. One person comes and says, Swamiji, whatever is the expense, I will take care. The whole Akshardham, I am told that Delhi thing was donated by one person. How did he give? Why did he give? Swamiji did not ask anything. He just came and said, see, here is a person who is doing selfless service, doing good for all, comes and gives. Sudhamurti Infosys, she has given crores and crores to Chaitanya Mission for that CMH hospital. Why did she? The moment you see a selfless person who doesn't need anything, who is just serving all, you feel like giving more and more. This is how all the spiritual organizations have flourished. So, what I am trying to say is this. I have never seen spiritual people, very poor and suffering and all. I have never seen. It is impossible. God Himself has said, spiritual people, I take care. Then I will have to scold God then. If some spiritual person is there suffering. It is against the law. Yes, sir. Peter. Mike.
In Austria, there is, as you said, a lot of spiritual poverty. I'm not really having a question, but maybe I'm looking for words of encouragement. I know that my duty is to bring spirituality back to people. Yet there is a big anxiety in me. I'm very afraid. Maybe you can speak on this.
You are afraid?
I'm afraid. Yes, I'm scared.
Why?
Because in Austria, you might be regarded as a crazy man when you talk about God.
Yes. See, if you want to advertise a drink, you must first be a drunkard.
You must first what?
Drunkard. You must be intoxicated with that drink. Then you say, this drink is excellent because I have tasted it. You understand? In the same way, if you want to be a salesman of spirituality, If you want to spread spirituality, first of all, you must benefit from spirituality. You must see the transformation that has happened because of spirituality. You understand? You are the product. You should see how I was and now how I am. The joy, the peace, the contentment. That is you are experiencing because of your spiritual practices. It is this that the people see. Yes, this person is genuine. He has experienced what he is speaking. He is not just reading some book and no. He has seen what is. He is walking the talk. Then people are inspired. And one more thing, you don't care what the others say. They may say you are crazy. Fine, that is your opinion. But I know what I am. This is what attracts people to you. Listen.
Thank you, Reverend.
Right. Spirituality always starts from practicing, seeing the result, and then telling others. It is just like any other publicity. When you recommend something to us, first, taste it.
Hariom Swamiji. My question is, how to be consistent in our sadhana? Since we are doing alone, most of the time our mind will convince our intellect with some results and it keep procrastinating. Since we are doing alone, we are not worried or afraid of anything. But how to convince our intellect with right knowledge so that it will not allow our mind to sit quietly, go and do sadhana? How to force ourselves with what knowledge?
How to be consistent in spirituality, isn't it? Are you consistent in having breakfast, lunch and dinner?
Yes, sir.
What forces you to be consistent in eating food?
My mother already.
Wrong answer. Tomorrow, after a few years, your mother may not be there. You will stop eating?
We are hungry.
You know the value of food, isn't it? It is this food which is energizing me. I am alive because of this food. The moment you start valuing anything in life, you will have time for it, you will work hard for it. The question is understanding the value of a particular thing. Isn't it? You are consistent in breathing. Why? You don't say, what is this? Before I say, I have to keep on breathing. You don't say this. So many things you are very consistent. You will always find that you value it, therefore you are consistent. You are consistent in going for a job, earning money. Why? Money is absolutely important for living. You see, consistency becomes natural when you understand the value of it. To understand the value of a thing, you have to constantly attend satsang. Be in the company of people who value this knowledge. I understand your question. Very many times we get drowned in this worldliness and we forget that there is something called spirituality. And suddenly you will become awake when you are in satsang with so many people with the same wavelength who are serious about spirituality. And suddenly you feel, hey, this is the most important thing. And you step out and within few minutes everything is gone. I understand. That is why all the masters have said, Satsangate Sangatvam. What's the first thing? Satsang. Always, again and again, keep yourself surrounded by people who are valuing spirituality. Be in the company of them. You and them, again and again. That's very important. Otherwise, 7 days you are charged up, 1 full year you are all discharged. Again, suddenly they are called as soda bottle inspiration. You open the soda bottle, Swamiji, I want to take something else right now. Nothing will happen. Okay? So constantly keep exposed to noble ones, people who are serious in spirituality. That is the way. There is no other way. Understand?
This is a different question from me. That is, I do the jhana and meditation. But first I go into the koshas, and then you have highlighted the 14 properties in your earlier lectures. So for that you go on mandala, and lastly ending up with Om. Is it right or technique or different path to opt?
See, there are infinite techniques in spirituality, infinite techniques. So you have to keep on doing trial and error method. What is your technique? I cannot say. Only the Lord seated in your heart can guide you. Because God alone is a true Guru, not some external Guru. So what your Vasana combinations are, Tamasic, Rajasic, Sadhana, what their combinations, I don't know. But the Lord knows. So, whenever you do a particular sadhana, suddenly you are inspired. There is greater joy. Understand that that is your path. See this, when you are doing a particular sadhana, is there a greater sense of fulfillment? Then that is that path. I cannot tell you. You understand? Only God can direct you. We can give a list of sadhanas. It's like hotel, you know. Idli is there, dosa is there, uppittu is there. I cannot tell you what you should take. To what food you are drawn to, eat that. That will satiate your hunger. You don't have to eat everything, not necessary. So you don't have to do all sadhanas. Choose the sadhana according to your vasanas, according to your liking. And the Lord inside will tell you, yes, this is the one which is suited for you. Our job is only one. Withdraw, look within, and listen to Him. The rest everything will be clear.
Hello, my last question. See, I have friends who are non-atheists, but they always say that because of fear in God, you people are worshiping the God, you are offering something, and you have a fear that if you don't do that, something is going to happen. That is the reason you are doing that. But I don't believe in God. But I serve the society by providing food to the needy or providing something, some interest to the needy. In that way, I am giving and I am satisfied. So I don't believe in God. So how do you? I don't know. So how can we treat that kind of service, or whether really we are doing because of the fear or not? I also tell that okay, by offering something to God, so I am buying flowers, I am buying fruits, I am buying coconuts. So the merchants who is selling that, I am also helping them to in their livelihood. Like that I also argue. But somehow we will not be able to come to a conclusion. Just what something.
Yes. See, number one, any person who is identified with the body is a bundle of fear. So he is saying that you are full of fear, that is why you are worshipping God. You ask a counter question, are you not afraid?
No.
Impossible. Put a snake in front of him and let us see. Put a snake inside his razai when he is sleeping and let us see. Don't talk nonsense. There is nobody in this world. Alright, forget about everything. Have you heard of what is his name? Manekshaw. Field Marshal Manekshaw. He says, I also have fear. There is nobody. He is an army man. Remember, general. He says there is not even a single person who doesn't have fear for life. Don't say that these army people, they are. No. Fear is there in everyone. As long as you are identified with the body, fear is something you cannot get rid of. It is your nature. Like Satchidananda is the nature of Atma, fear is the nature of Jivatma. If somebody is saying I don't have fear, he is bluffing, he is lying. Right? Let us start from there. Now this person is holding on to God to come out of fear. Nothing wrong. Absolutely nothing wrong. It is a path given by the scriptures, and remember, he seeks results. There are very many fearless people who have held on to God and they have become fearless. There are very many revolutionaries. In our own life also we see this. We become fearless the moment we remember God. It is a path shown by the scriptures. Now, as far as doing service is concerned, you see, they say I am serving food and this and that. Let me tell you, unless you are spiritual, you cannot be aggressively good. Giving food and all is mild goodness. It is not aggressive goodness. You understand? What is aggressive goodness? Somebody is going to kill you and you are blessing him. That is aggressive goodness. Jesus Christ, when he is nailed on the cross, to say that, oh Lord, forgive them. They don't know what they are doing. That is no absolute goodness. Somebody is killing you, torturing you, and you are praying for their welfare. This needs infinite strength. That cannot come from these weaklings. They may give some food, that is not something great. That is good, but they are not absolute good. You understand? You have to be connected to an infinite source to exhibit infinite strength. So when you are spiritual, you are connected to infinite strength. And through these spiritual masters, we see the exhibition of that infinite strength. Strength also has got gradation, isn't it? 10 units, 20 units, 100 units, 1000 units. These people can do 1 or 2 units. That's all goodness they have. Distribute some biscuit to dogs. Some poor people give some food. Of course, we accept that is also goodness. But that is nothing compared to this. Generations are transformed when a spiritual master exhibits this kind of strength. Generations. This fellow giving some food, how many are transformed? You understand? This is the answer. They may not be convinced, but you should be convinced. Shall we wind up? Right.
ನಮ್ಮೆಲ್ಲ ಅನುಮಾನಗಳಿಗೆ ನಗುಮುಖದಿಂದ ಮತ್ತೆ ವಿವರವಾಗಿ ಉತ್ತರ ಕೊಟ್ಟದ್ದಕ್ಕೆ ಗುರುಗಳಿಗೆ ವಂದನೆಗಳು.
ಓಂ ಸರ್ವೇ ಭವಂತು ಸುಖಿನಃ ಸರ್ವೇ ಸಂತು ನಿರಾಮಯಾಃ ಸರ್ವೇ ಭದ್ರಾಣಿ ಪಶ್ಯಂತು ಮಾ ಕಶ್ಚಿತ್ ದುಃಖಭಾಗ್ ಭವೇತ್. असतो मा सद्गमय तमसो मा ज्योतिर्गमय मृत्यो मा अमृतं गमय. ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः. हरिः ॐ श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः. हरिः ॐ.
Hariya, I just like to thank everyone who came. Thank you for coming on a Sunday morning and making this session very fruitful. So yeah, thank you for everybody.